In this video, we'll take a look at the Glyphs panel. First, what is a glyph? A glyph is simply a picture. In typography, it's any character in a given typeface. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a single letter. A glyph can be a combination of letters, such as the small t and the m in the trademark symbol. It doesn't have to be a letter at all. It can be an ornament, such as a dingbat. So I'm going to open my Glyphs panel, and I always wish that they would put a G on here instead of an A, but anyway, I'll just click here to open it. And you can also get to the Glyphs panel by going under the Window menu to the Type section. Right now, this word is set in Minion Regular, and you recall from the previous video that the regular or standard fonts don't have as many characters as the Pro fonts do. In the bottom right of the panel, I can choose to zoom in or zoom out using these little mountain icons, and now I'm going to change the font to Minion Pro. I'll zoom way out, and even if I zoom all the way out, you still can't see all of the characters in this typeface because there are thousands of them. I'll zoom back in so we can see it better. Now I'm just going to select this H at the end of the word, and you can see that it's highlighted in blue in the panel. You'll also notice a tiny black triangle in the lower right, and if I click and hold, that gives me some alternates to this character. So for example, if I wanted to change that to a small capital H, I could do that from here. From this drop-down menu, I can choose to show only certain categories of the font. So for example, I could choose to show only the small capitals, or the ligatures, or the ornaments. And let's say I found an ornament I liked and I want to insert it into my text. All I do is double-click on the ornament, and it gets placed right at the insertion point of my cursor. You may have noticed some text up here next to the drop-down menu, and whenever you mouse over a glyph, the text changes. This is the Unicode value for each of these glyphs. Encoding is a way of assigning a number to each glyph. Computers are really just big calculators after all, so that when you press the A key on your keyboard, for example, the computer looks up that number, and the picture or glyph that gets drawn on the screen is an A. Before Unicode, there were only 256 slots for these numbers, so the choices of glyphs were limited. Because of that limitation, one computer system might use one code for a particular glyph, but another system would use a different code, and there was no consistency. Unicode provides a unique number for every character, no matter the platform or the program or the language. And it also supports up to 100,000 different slots instead of 256. Just a little Type Geek history lesson for you there. Let's move on to a different font. You can really start to have fun with glyphs when you use a script font such as Bicom Script Pro. I'll select the H here, and then use the drop-down menu and choose Alternates for current selection. You can see that there are about 20 different H's, and I'll double-click to choose this one, which gives me this great flourish at the end of my word. I'll do the same with the G, and you can see the alternates for that as well, and this gives you a lot of different choices to achieve a different personality with your characters. I'll delete this and then create a new type object and type out the word spiffiest. And I want to demonstrate the ligatures in the font. And ligatures are used when you have something like an F and an I that are together. So I'll select the F and the I, and then show my standard ligatures, and I'll zoom in so we can see that better. And I'll double-click this one here. And you can see that those two characters are now combined into one glyph. In this font, if I go down to SS1, which is stylistic set number 1, there's actually a ligature for two F's and an I. So if you have a word like this that has that letter combination, you can use this ligature. And of course this is a very decorative one, but most ligatures are more practical than this. Bicom Script also has some really nice ornaments, so I'll choose that section and double-click to show you those. And again, this just adds some personality and some style to your typography. Now, if you're working with typography and you have a word that has an F and an I in it or an FFI, you don't necessarily have to go to the Glyphs panel every time to choose a ligature. You can do that automatically using the Open Type options. And that's what we'll look at in the next video.